This podcast is for mature audiences. Welcome to Echoes in the Black, a solo role-playing story told using the Shadowdark RPG. Where darkness presses close, resources run thin, and survival is never guaranteed. I'm Sean, the soloist, and I don't script outcomes, I don't protect characters, I just ask questions of the world. This is a real solo RPG campaign. The dice are honest here, and what they decide stands. After all, the dice whisper fate. This season is called The Crown Below, a story of forgotten oaths and the consequences of digging too deep. Xerac was born of two worlds that rarely meet without violence. His mother was an elf of the old bloodlines, sharp-featured, long-lived, touched by the quiet grace of the forest's courts. His father, an orcish war champion, broad-shouldered and iron-willed, a survivor of a dozen border wars. From them, Xerac inherited the worst and best of both, the height and strength of an orc, the angular beauty and cold poise of an elf, and a life spent being told he belonged to neither. The Knights of St. Idris took him in where no one else would. They are a cursed order, warriors who walk the path of St. Idris the unholy, the possessed. They embrace the darkness to fight it, wielding steel in one hand and forbidden sorcery in the other. Every knight carries a shard of that curse, a whisper of the same shadow that once consumed their patron saint. Most break under it, a few master it, and all are feared. Xerac's talents were identified very quickly, and the curse clung to him like an old friend. But something happened, something the Order does not speak about. A failure, a betrayal, a moment of weakness, or a moment of truth. Whatever it was, it cast him out, with a task he has yet to tell anybody about. His record now bears a single word: fallen. Whether he seeks atonement or damnation is a question even he cannot answer. Okay, let's have a brief catch-up of where we are in the campaign. One thing I've noted is I haven't told you about the calendar or what day of the campaign we're on, and I know that within similar podcasts to this, that the hosts generally keep a track of what day we are within the campaign. Now, the Westmere has its own calendar, which will be available on the Echoes in the Black blogspot, so you can check that out for yourself. For now, just know that we are in the early hours of the 25th day of the month of Coldwane, and the day itself is Warden's Day, and that this is day 3 of the campaign. And going forward, I shall keep you up to date, certainly with what day of the campaign we're on, if not the actual date. Okay. Our party have witnessed the execution of Calvos, a contact Xerac was due to meet but was somehow betrayed, leading to Cal's arrest and execution by the Quiet Vigil, who are the secret police of Corval. However, Xerac was passed a piece of parchment with a partially drawn map on it and a key to an old sewer gate, which Jin recognised as being from the cellar of the Wild Axe Tavern. The parchment also had the name of Liza Marrow on it, who Xerac thought to be Cal's partner. Not really knowing what the parchment meant or the fact that Liza Marrow's name was on it, Xerac realised that it was his only possible link into the resistance movement known as the Ashen Veil, and the party have decided to follow it. At the Wild Axe Tavern, they weren't recognised, despite Rowan being involved in a bar fight there the night before, and a general distaste for spellcasters within the tavern. The party did have hooded cloaks and made their way to the basement, where they found that the sewer gate had been bricked over fairly recently, but that the brick wall had been smashed through from the other side by someone or something. We left the party staring through into the black of the tunnels beyond, which form part of the myriad of tunnel networks beneath the city. The first thing we need to do is to check to see if the scene is altered in any way, as per the Mythic Games Master emulator, and we're going to keep the chaos factor at 6, so a 6 or less means that it is an altered or an interrupted scene, and that's a 3, so yes, it is an altered scene. Okay, normally I'd roll for a prompt now, which would give me 2 words. That would give us a prompt as to what might happen. However, I have an idea that I'm going to run with, and as Turk says on the Grouch Couch, only roll your dice if you need to, and I don't think I do. You may remember that I went to the trouble of working out Elsa the Elder, our dwarven tavern keeper, who retired from adventuring for a quiet life in an inner city tavern. Maybe she has found that it's not such a quiet life after all. So the party stand in the dim, cold cellar of the Wild Axe Tavern, the lantern lights trembling against the stone walls, dust hanging in the air. We've got a few broken barrels, some lying on their side. We've got the bricks that have been smashed through from the other side. But someone then spots something. A smear of blood across the floorboards, a scuff mark, and signs of a struggle. Roan crouches, fingertips brushing against the stain of blood. Someone or something was here. There's been a fight, and before anyone else can speak, a voice bellows down the stairs, rough and irritated. Oi! That you, mistress? Who's down in me cellar then? Heavy boots thump down the stairs. I swear to the dirt, if it's the smuthy boys pissing about again, I'll knock their fool heads together like a pair of tavern mugs. Halfway down the stairs, the party see Brock, who is the angry barkeeper, built like a brick outhouse, arms like tree trunks, but not an awful lot going on between his ears. The lantern light sways in his hand. Oi, what you lot doing down here, and where's the mistress? He glances around and notices something is amiss with the hole in the wall, blood on the floor. Bloody hell! You lot! The mistress is gone. She only went down to sort the barrels out. So I think we need to roll a reaction test here. What is Brock's reaction to seeing this scene of devastation, really? We've got 4 strangers there, and the mistress Elsa is missing. Now, we'll roll on the reaction table within Shadowdark, and we roll 2d6 plus the charisma modifier of the most charismatic member of the party, and that'll be Jin, who is +3. So we roll 2d6, we get a 7, +3 is 10, and that comes out as curious on the table. Okay, so I think that's quite a positive reaction actually for Brock. He'll say something like, well, if she's gone through there, she hasn't gone through her own choice, has she? I'd be much obliged if you lot would go and find out where she's gone. I've got to lock up. I'm going to throw everybody out. Jin says, much obliged to you, Brock. Thank you. We'll do our best to bring your mistress back. Okay, well, that's a turn up for the books then. So, Elsa, the 3rd level fighter, female dwarf, who's retired from adventuring, seems to have gone missing, which has thrown a little bit of a curveball towards the party. As far as they were concerned, they're down here following the clues of this parchment map. But having had that twist roll on the oracle table, something else has been thrown in their way. So, let's see what happens when they go through the hole into the black. Jin will light one of her 2 torches, so I'll cross one of those off her character sheet. In Shadowdark, torches are vital. No characters have any kind of dark vision, unlike the denizens of dungeons, caves, tunnels, and other dark places. In a face-to-face traditional game, a torch will burn for 1 hour of real time. I can't do that due to the constraints of solo play and recording the events for this podcast. In the solo dark rules, it suggests that the torch will burn for 10 turns, which is roughly an hour of game time. However, I will randomise this from round 7 onwards, using a table that I'll put up onto the Echoes in the Black blog spot. But essentially, the odds of the torch burning out increase but there's that risk that there might be a gust of wind or one of the characters drops the torch. So from round 7 onwards, which we will keep track of, there is a risk that that torch will go dark. And in Shadowdark terms, I think this location is risky, which means we check for a random encounter every 2 turns. The cellar air clung to their skin as they climbed through the jagged hole in the wall, torchlights trembling across damp stone walls. The Wild Axe's cellar was cold, but this place was colder still, as if the dark was holding its breath. The chamber they entered was a small room. The stonework here was neat and deliberate, and they each looked around the room as best they could in the flickering glow of Jin's torch. "Here, look at this," said Rowan, as he pointed to a mark on the wall, half smudged, but unmistakable, an old guild sign. "Someone came through here." Rosalind pointed to a table and 2 chairs that were overturned. A lantern lay cracked on the floor, its oil pooling like a dark shadow. Footprints overlapped in the dust, small boots, heavy boots, and even in the glow of the torch, unmistakable drag marks across the floor, through the dust towards an archway in the far wall. A cracked barrel, with its contents linking across the floor, gave the room a scent of ale, mixed with something sour and animalistic, a musk that clung to the back of the throat. "Whatever the smell is, it's not good. And forgive me, Xerac, it's not human," said Jin. "No offence taken," said Xerac, his warhammer clutched tightly. Rowan crouched and ran a finger along the drag marks. "Oh, Xerac, whatever it is you're looking for, it's down here somewhere." And he pointed to the tunnel beyond the archway, into the black. Next, I think it's important that, for the game purposes, we have a marching order. It's important that I know who is where, and probably more importantly, so do you. I have some counters in front of me to indicate the marching order, but that doesn't work in an audio-only format. So from here on out, unless I say differently, Xerac will lead, Jim will be second with her torch, Rosalind third, and Rowan to the rear. Obviously, when they're in larger spaces, it will make sense to spread them out, but hopefully that will come across in the narrative. One final thing, check out the post-credit sequence at the end of this podcast for how I designed this area for the party to explore as I go along. The tunnel beyond the archway was around 8 feet wide and 10 feet high, made of dressed stone which was damp. It sloped noticeably downwards, and Jin's torch bounced around as she moved. "Keep close," whispered Xerac. "I intend to, Z. I'm a lover, not a fighter," said Jin with a smile. But she wasn't sure whether it was bravery, fear, or stupidity that led her to answer. The tunnel opened into a large circular chamber, 30 foot across, with 3 exits, one straight ahead and one each to the left and the right. It looks exactly like the map had shown. Jin's torch struggled to reach the edges, but flickered off a rustic grate in the centre of the floor, and another guild marker carved into the far wall. Xerac walked cautiously over to the carved symbol and traced its outline with his finger. Rosalind gripped her crowbar tightly. "Oh, it is not here, but something is. Something that doesn't belong." Xerac nodded, turning to look around the chamber. "Yes, but neither do we, Seeker. Know this. I am a knight of St. Idris. You understand what that is. I carry a darkness within me. I have a vow that I must fulfill. I am sorry that you are lost. The gods are fickle and demanding of those who follow their paths. Once my vow is done, I pledge to each of you I will help you find peace. But there are things in motion that I cannot stop, and I must play my part." As the others listen to Xerac, they don't realise that there's a trap in here. Do any of them trigger it? Well, I'll tell you what it is if they do. So, I'm going to give a disadvantage for a yes. It's a wide chamber, and someone would have to be unlucky to do so. It's an oracle question. A 1 to 9 is a no. 10 is a twist. And 11 to 20 is a yes. A 1 or a 20 is an extreme no or a yes. And a disadvantage for a yes means I'm going to take the lowest roll of 2 d20s. Here we go. First Zira. Okay, that's a 2 and an 8, so that's a no. Jen. 3 and a 19, also a no. Rosalind. 9 and a 13, no. And that's a 12 and a 15 for Rowan, so a yes. Okay, so this trap is a pressure plate under the grate in the middle of the room. Rowan peers down the left and right tunnels, but only saw black. As he turned to Zirek, about to respond to his short speech, he felt his left foot sink just a couple of inches as the grate beneath his foot lowered with a click. A mechanical sound grated above him, and in a flicker of Jin's torch he saw it. And so did Jin. "Duck!" she shouted, as a huge axe blade swung down from the ceiling in an arc heading for Rowan's chest. Okay, to avoid the swinging blade, Rowan needs to pass a dexterity check. I'll randomise the difficulty check. They are listed in the rulebook, so easy is 9, normal is 12, hard is 15, and extreme 18. I'll roll a d4. A 1. That is an easy dex test of 9. Jin's warning has clearly helped. And Rowan will roll a d20, adding 1 for his dex bonus. And that's a 13 plus 1. He easily ducks under the swinging blade. That's what you might call a close shave. But that's not all. Because the number on the oracle roll was an odd number, 15, then it's a yes, but. With a crashing boom, a stone slab slams down behind the party, sealing the way back to the Wild Axe Tavern.
Ord may not be here, but someone doesn't want us to leave, said Zirak.
Jin looked at the ground and pointed to the tracks in the dust of large footprints and the signs of something being dragged along the floor through the archway by the guild symbol directly ahead. But is this the way the map tells them to go, or does it say they need to take one of the other tunnels? Let's check the oracle. And we have an 18. That's a yes, so the map seems to be pointing them in the right direction. Okay, a slight retcon is required here because I said I would roll for a random encounter every 2 rounds. I think we're 4 rounds into this particular part of the story. But I will just roll the once, and we'll just say it's the fickle hand of fate that has led to this point. We roll a d6 and we get a 6. So there is no random encounter at the moment. But probably more importantly, there's 4 rounds of Jin's torch have burnt down. Potentially 6 left, but we do start rolling on my homemade table from the 7th round onwards. Okay, let's see where the party are taken now following the tunnel. After a short distance down the tunnel, a platform opens before them with iron steps leading down to a narrow walkway of rusted iron overlooking a black, sluggish canal. The air is cold and wet, thick with the stink of stagnant water. The map said this place would be here. Beside the railing stands a large iron wheel, its spokes thick with rust. It's part of an old watergate mechanism, the kind used to control the flow of the canal. The wheel is frozen in place, unmoving. Rowan tests the wheel, but it clearly hadn't been turned in a century or more. Below, the sluice gate sits half open. water trickling through in a thin, steady stream. The mechanism is dead. The canal to the left, beyond the sluice gate, is blocked, as the canal seems to have collapsed, and the tunnel is entirely blocked by a cave-in. Stone, masonry and timber blocking the way. The canal to the right stretches into darkness, echoes of dripping water, and something else indistinguishable. Okay, the party continue on their way in their marching order, with Xerac ahead, Jin second, Rosalind third, and Rowan bringing up the rear. The canal tunnel seems to stretch on endlessly before them, with only slight deviations. And after 3 turns, Jin's torch starts to sputter. So I'm going to roll on my table, and we'll see what happens. And we get a 1. In the Shadowdark rulebook on page 110, titled Let There Be Darkness, has a light mishaps table, which I've only just seen. So I'm going to roll on it, and let's see what happens. And we get a 3. So air. A rogue wind or pocket of thin air blows through, and it takes a DC 15 dex check, or the flames go out. So let's roll that for Jin. And we get a 7, so the flame does go out. So this torch has only lasted 7 of the 10 turns expected. So let's see what happens now. The tunnel seems to sigh, which echoes towards the party. A cold gust of wind, from nowhere, from everywhere, rushes past the party and snuffs Jin's torch out in an instant. Darkness swallows them whole. "I didn't do that," said Jin. "Oh, wonderful. The tunnels are blowing out our torches now. That's comforting," said Rowan. There was a fumbling and scrape of metal on stone. Rowan's hands patting Jin's arms, shoulders, face, anything except the torch. "Stop poking me! The torch is in my hand, not my spleen." "Well, forgive me for trying to find it in the pitch-black abyss we now live in," said Rowan. A spark jumps, fizzles, and dies. "Rowan, please, before the wind decides to come back and murder us." Another spark, another failure. From in front of them, Xerac's voice cuts through the dark like a blade drawn in a cathedral.
"Enough! Light it! Properly! The shadows down here are not a joke."
There was a beat of silence. I wasn't joking. I was panicking, said Jin.
"Then panic quieter,"
said Xerac. Okay, let's roll to see if between them, Jin and Rowan have any trouble lighting the torch in the dark. I'll say that even though it's pitch black, it's an easy task, so a DC 9. But if they fail, they drop the torch into the canal. Harsh? Maybe. But this is Shadowdark. Okay, let's roll. Phew, an 11. Rowan finally gets a spark to catch. The torch flares to life, throwing long, trembling shadows across the tunnel walls. Jin exhales in relief. Rowan mutters something unflattering, and Xerac watches the darkness, as if expecting it to answer back. Okay, let's roll again for an encounter. And we get another 6. The party is certainly riding their luck at the moment, as the party continue down this tunnel, following the path of the canal. They come to an iron bridge that crosses the canal and leads to a tunnel. Xerac, checking his map in the torchlight, points towards it. Signs of something being dragged seem to have gone. Crossing the bridge and following it for a short distance, let's roll again for another encounter. And we get a 1. Okay. Let's see what happens. Turning a bend in the tunnel, light spills into the darkness. A shock after so much black. A door has been smashed from its hinges. They step through into a cramped guard room, the air thick with the smell of sweat, oil and old stew. A table lies overturned. Why are all tables overturned? A chair is splintered. A shield bearing the black bisecting eye symbol of the vigil lies against the far wall. Bedrolls are scattered, half-packed, as if people left in a hurry. A rack of spears stands undisturbed, except for one that's been snapped clean in half. And on the wall hangs a large ring of keys, heavy and iron. But the room's centrepiece is a man on the floor. He lies on his side, armour dented, helm cracked nearly in two, his sword lying just out of reach. Blood mats his hair, his chest rises and falls in shallow, ragged breaths. He's young, and his face is pale beneath the grime. Rosalind kneels next to him. Zerak stands over him like a shadow, and Jin hovers, unsure whether to help or run. The man's eyelids flutter, and he forces them open.
"Stay back."
His voice is a rasp, barely more than a breath, and he tries to reach for his sword, then winces as pain lances through his skull. Okay, we'll roll for a reaction, again using Jin's excellent charisma with a +3. It's 2d6, and we get a 14, that's an 11, +3 is a 14, so we get a friendly reaction. However, I'm not sure it's going to be really friendly, just a little bit friendly. Jin crouches, hands raised in a placating gesture. "Easy, easy. We're not Vigil. We're not here to hurt you." The man's eyes narrow, confused and suspicious, but in Jin's tone, or maybe her face, something softens inside him.
"You shouldn't be here, none of you. It's down here."
He lifts a trembling hand towards an open circular staircase at the far end of the room, a black mouth descending into deeper dark.
"The thing, it's not a man. It's too big, too strong. He grabbed one of us and if it's still down there, you're dead. All of you."
Rowan looked at the stairs. Jin glanced at Rowan. Zerak doesn't glance at anything. He's already staring into the darkness below, as if expecting it to stare back.
"This could be our doom," says Rosalind.
Zerak looked at the man.
"Describe it." "Tall, taller than any man I've ever known. Shoulders like a bull, and the smell, oh gods, the smell, like rotten sweat and something that shouldn't walk upright. It had something in a sack."
He grips Rosalind's wrist suddenly, surprising strength in his fingers.
"If you go down there, don't let it grab you."
His hand falls away. His eyes close again, breath shallow but steady. The lantern in the room flickered. The stairs wait, and somewhere below, something huge moved in the dark. And this is where we leave our story for now. The world does not pause when we stop listening. Tonight, the dice have spoken, and their verdict stands. Every choice tightens the path ahead, and the dark is learning who you are. Thank you for listening. I hope you'll join me for episode 6 as our characters descend further into darkness. I've had my first real review from David62 from the excellent Dungeons and Dyslexia Discord channel. And David says, "Listen to both episodes. I found them very enjoyable. I didn't subscribe to Spotify, so if you want to use this as a rather succinct review, feel free. Now I'm going to share the like with some friends. Perhaps you'll receive stunning reviews from them." Well, thank you for that, David62. No other reviews as yet, but I keep hoping that somebody out there might wish to place a review on Apple or any of the podcast apps that they use to download my content. If you would like to leave a review, please do so. I'd love to read your thoughts on how I'm doing. If you'd like to get in touch, I am on Instagram at echoesintheblack, or you can email me at echoesintheblack@gmail.com. There is the Echoes in the Black Facebook group and the Echoes in the Black blog at echoesintheblack.blogspot.com. I'm also on the Arcane Library and Dungeons and Dyslexia Discord channel. Okay, until next time, remember, the torch always burns out. Okay, here's a little post-credits sequence that isn't scripted, actually, like the vast majority of the podcast is. I mentioned about how I've come up with the tunnel system or dungeon that the party are moving through. It's not just something I've come up with off the top of my head or I'm ad-libbing. I'm using the Mythic magazine Dungeon Crawler Generator, which is basically an adaptation of the Mythic Location Generator system, which is available through Drive-Thru RPG and the Word Mill Games website. I can highly recommend both products, along with the Mythic Games Master emulator. If you're new to solo role-playing like me, it is a fantastic resource. And there's no better example of the Mythic Games Master emulator being used than Trevor Duval's YouTube channel, Me, Myself and Die. There's 3/4 seasons. Doesn't always use Mythic Games Master emulator, but certainly in season 1 with the adventures of Simon of Argostan, it is an absolutely epic YouTube series that is well worth your time. While I'm here just giving out credit, I feel like I need to also give credit to 2 more YouTube channels. I've mentioned the Grouch Couch already, and I do talk about that within the episode with Turk and his advice. He is an absolute towering bundle of energy regarding solo role-playing games, and without him and the likes of Trevor Duval, I'm not sure I would be on this journey. So thank you to Turk. But also, I want you to check out Aid at the Dungeons and Dyslexia channel and Discord channel, actually. Aid puts out some incredible content and has a lot of content focusing on Shadowdark. So if you are Shadowdark curious, I'd urge you to go and check out Aid's channel. And similarly, if you're Shadowdark curious, check out That's How I Roll YouTube channel, where the host there, I'm sorry I haven't picked up his name, runs through several Shadowdark sessions. I think he's got over 30 videos where he's solo role-playing using Shadowdark, and he will use the Solo Dark rules as well. But both are excellent resources for people wishing to give Shadowdark a try. Okay, that's enough rambling from me. There will be links in the show notes to the Mythic products and the YouTube channels and Drive-Thru RPG, where a lot of this stuff can be found. Okay, until next time, stay safe, keep those torches lit, and don't go into the dark alone.